you, but to heal you, to save your life. Johnny Cash had a great career and got hooked on drugs, on amphetamines. You can read in his autobiography, he's got a whole chapter dedicated to all the cars he wrecked while he was on drugs. One of them started a forest fire, almost wiped out an endangered species of condor. He was a mess. And he torpedoed his career, alienated his friends and his loved ones and his family. His whole life went up in flames. So in that moment, he looked around and said, all right. And he went and found a cave. And he got a flashlight and he said, I'm going to crawl as deep as I can into this cave until the batteries on this flashlight go out. And then I'm going to disappear. And that'll be the end of Johnny Cash. That's what shame will do with you. It'll make you turtle up. And he did it. He crawled into that cave, lights went out, and he curled up in a ball and said, that's it. And then he said, the strangest things happened. I felt God in that moment of my greatest shame come closer to me than he ever had and said, no, I still want you. Get up. And he said, but I was so deep in there, there's no way out. So much darkness, I don't even see where to go. But he just started moving. He said, and somehow as I started moving, I saw the light. And I moved towards it. And when he got to the mouth of the cave, 2 of his friends were there. And he's like, I don't even know how they knew where I was. And they took him to the hospital because he was still hooked on amphetamines. But he began a journey of getting sober, getting healed. And after that, he launched into a stretch of his career where he was doing crusades with Billy Graham, singing about a God who would save even a wretch like me. He did movies about Jesus, about the Apostle Paul. And at the very end of his life, they were playing his videos on MTV where he was talking about the judgment of God on sin, but the grace that's available through Jesus. Put out on MTV. Why? Because he had the clout to show you he had actually lived that story. So I don't know how far you've gone. I don't know how far you feel. It may be a whole life that you had an innocent, sincere faith that got derailed a long time ago. It may be that it's just been a really hard week. I don't know. But you're not too far gone. God rejoices in coming to those who are in the midst of failure, in the midst of shame, and saying, the relationship is still open. I want you. The wound can be dealt with by my grace if you'll let me. I will heal it, so we'll move on. And then join me. And I love it. He looks at Peter, and after saying this, he said to him, follow me. He said in verse 18, truly, I say to you, when you were young, you used to dress yourself, walk wherever you wanted. When you are old, you will stretch out your hands, and another will dress you and carry you where you do not want to go. This he said to show by what kind of death he was to glorify God. I love that because we're all going to die. You know that, right? No one gets out of this life alive. Death rate's what it's always been, 1 per person, right? And yet he looks at Peter and says, but your life and your death can bring glory to me. And I want that for my life. I want my life and even my death to bring glory to him. I don't want my life to be dictated by my failures. I want it to be dictated by my faith. That I'm someone who believed he could heal a wretch like me and use me. And so he says to him, follow me.